Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Final Fantasy X boss fight video. This time, it's against Seymour. That's right, we're going to bring down a Maester of Yevon. Pretty sure I don't need to tell you that Wakka's pitching quite the shit fit over this. This fight starts out with both Seymour and his guardians getting the first turn, which they use to cast Shell and Protect, respectively. This doesn't cause a huge amount of problems though, as you'll see soon enough. You start this fight with Tidus, Yuna and Kimahri, which isn't bad, except for Kimahri. So the first thing I do is I swap him out for someone else. In this instance, I bring Wakka in. The reason for this is because you now have on the field all three characters that can use the trigger command in this fight, which is of course being able to talk to Seymour. What this will do is it will give certain stat boosts to each character. In the case of Tidus, it will give him a strength increase, and for Wakka and Yuna, it will give a magic defense increase, all of which are very useful in this fight.
Beautiful.
Once that's taken care of, we then need to make sure that it's extremely difficult for you to die. The best way of doing this, of course, is to cast haste on Yuna. Of course, means it she'll be able to heal twice as often, which is always a good thing. It's also worth pointing out that all three of these can be affected by slow. So if you've been able to teach Tidus Sloga by this point, go ahead and use that, because that will also make things a bit easier for you. Naturally, if you have any overdrives available, go ahead and use them. Now unfortunately, I do kind of mess this one up just ever so slightly, but luckily this also helps to show another problem you might be dealing with in this fight. That one. Whenever you deal damage to anyone in this party, the Guardians will automatically use a high potion. The best way to get around this is to enlist the aid of our friendly neighbourhood Albed, otherwise known as Riku, and just have her steal the high potions from the Guardians. If you're feeling a little bit cheeky, you can also steal from Seymour as well whilst you're at it. Now you can finally start attacking, although you can't go straight for Seymour just yet, because if you do, his guardians will just block you. Like that. So you need to take them down first. Which isn't really a problem, because luckily, because you talked to Seymour at the start of the fight, Tidus has a strength increase, which means he can effectively just completely ignore the protect on the guardians. Once the Guardians are dealt with, you can then attack Seymour outright. However, he does still have one trick up his sleeve, and it's a big one. Once you bring him down below 3000 health, he summons Anima. That's right, the giant summon that single-handedly dealt with all of the fiends in Lucca Stadium is being brought to bear against you. Fortunately, you have ways of dealing with this giant behemoth. Now, the smart thing to do would be to follow exactly what they say and bring out Yuna's new Aeon. However, first of all, I'm going to show you why. Although Anima only really has one attack, it's a killer. It's called Pain, and it deals instant death. Incidentally, you'll know when a move causes instant death because you won't get any numbers at all appear above the character. Kind of like this. Poor Wakka. Never saw it coming. The reason why you should use Aeons for this portion of the fight is because Aeons are immune, completely immune, to instant death. The worst that will happen is they will be dealt some physical damage. Which isn't that bad, because as long as you use the elemental summons, Ifrit, Ixion, and your new one, Shiva, they can always heal themselves with their respective elements. Which makes any fight that you bring them out in a lot more bearable. Especially ones like this. Now that Shiva is out on the field, this section of the fight becomes ridiculously simple. All you need to be doing here is constantly attacking Anima and healing yourself when necessary. Now, you don't have to be using Blizzara right off the bat like I am, but it does serve to prove the kind of damage you can recover from by using it on your own Aeon. Essentially, it means you can go through 2 rounds of pain before healing yourself. Now, you will get to use Shiva's overdrive in this fight at least once. It is possible to use it a second time, but don't worry about it if you can't. Because the one time you do use it, it will still take off about 6,000 health from Anima, and you can easily mop up the rest with the second Aeon. Now, you're probably thinking, how is Shiva going to die? Because with the amount of health she can recover from casting Blizzara, it should be near impossible for Anima to kill her. And in that regard, you're right. Unfortunately, because Anima is an Aeon, that also means Anima has an overdrive herself. And it's quite nasty. It's called Oblivion, and it looks a little something like this. It's quite long, by the way. This is naturally the end of Shiva, but it's okay, because we have 2 more elemental summons to use, and they're both just as effective. Once you bring out your second summon, the pattern is exactly the same. Just keep attacking Anima, and healing only when you need it. As was the case earlier, your Aeon's overdrive gauge will fill extremely quickly due to Anima using pain constantly. And as before, as soon as it's full, just go ahead and use it. Because seeing as this is the second overdrive being used, Anima will eventually perish. At which point, you will go back to fighting Seymour. Only this time around, he doesn't have any guardians to help him. This third and final section of the fight will now be a complete breeze. All you need to do is just go back to doing exactly what you were before Seymour summoned Anima. If you do that, then in no time at all, you will have the young Maester beaten. And that's the end of the fight. One Maester defeated, and all of Yevon pissed at you. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.